Hello. Welcome to Common Censored. I'm Lee Camp, joined by Eleanor Goldfield.
It's snowing!
And it's snowing here in Washington, D.C. This is the show where we talk censored stories and people, sensible solutions, and common ground movements to fight and build.
It's so cozy.
You ruined
snowing.
The opening.
It's snowing and
All right.
It's cozy.
If you're going to talk about snow, you got to do your Swedish snow song. I think they want to hear that.
Se det snör, det var väl roligt, höra. Nu blir det vinter som vi har önskat höra.
Translation?
It's snowing!
Oh my God, I really hope, because a lot of people, they know the opening theme song is coming, so they hit, fast forward by 10 seconds. I hope they
missed out.
I hope they just jump into the middle of you singing that, and are like, I downloaded the wrong podcast.
Or totally the right one.
Or the right one.
Come on, people. There is so much bad happening. It's mostly bad.
In the world, you mean?
Yes, but it's snowing. Okay.
It's snowing on 10,000 National Guard troops that are probably still at the Capitol.
Which yeah. Well, that's
so that's got to make it prettier. The panda at the
oh my God.
Washington Zoo went viral for sliding on his back.
Our neighbor, the panda, because we live right by the zoo. And this, if you haven't seen it already, just do yourself a favor and watch this video because it'll make you feel better about being alive. It's a fucking panda, sledding on its back, just down this embankment of snow.
He's having a blast.
It's wonderful. Anyway, I just wanted to share that it's snowing.
I think we should start every week with an affirmation of the beauty of the world.
That's my weather report, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, from here on out, every week, Eleanor will sing in Swedish a weather report. Sometimes it might be like, it's hot as balls, it's hot as balls, it's hot as balls.
Actually, in the summer months, I will not be in a good mood, just in general.
What's the Swedish word for balls?
Well, those kind of balls?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? No, this is not going to be a dirty word podcast.
All right, the regular kind of balls.
No.
Bollar. Bollar. All right. It's hot as bollar. It's hot as bollar. It's hot as bollar. All right, folks. That's all the upbeat you get from our show. No, I'm kidding. We have fun. We have fun. So we're gonna get into it here. I wanted to start off by saying, and I know you if you're a regular listener, you kind of know this, but every once in a while it bears repeating that if you turn on the mainstream media, it is kind of these incessant reports. I mean, they're spending half their time right now talking about Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is this fucking crackpot who believes that the Democrats are in your basement drinking your baby's blood, and every report is about this shit. SNL's doing sketches. The SNL sketches then get written up in the Huffington Post, so you get a headline from an SNL sketch about Marjorie Taylor. I don't give a fucking shit, okay? Other than to laugh at how stupid she is occasionally, there's no reason that the day-to-day of these people's lives matters at all for your average Americans, and yet it's fucking every news story. And they act like it really matters. Like, if you turn on CNN right now, they will talk to you about Marjorie Taylor Greene as if what she does today is going to impact your life.
So the only reason, and I haven't actually, so my frame of reference is a bit limited because I think the last time I watched CNN, Bill Clinton was still the president. But for those who don't know, he was the president in the early 90s.
It wasn't much better.
The mid 90s. Anyway, so the only thing that I think is important about Marjorie Taylor Greene is to highlight the intense anti-Semitism that is now acceptable thought in some spaces.
Right.
And I think the only reason I think that that's important, well, not the only reason, but I think it's very important that we call out and highlight actual anti-Semitism when it fucking happens, as opposed to saying that, for instance, being, anti-Israel, like the BDS, the Boycott, Divest, and Sanctions movement, is anti-Semitic, because that's been the
Andrew Yang just did that.
Yeah, so that's been the the narrative so far is that it's anti-Semitic to be against the state of Israel, which is really, really problematic and actually, ironically, leads to real anti-Semitism because it suggests that Israel is totally infallible. Israel equals the U.S. So if you're talking shit about Israel, you're talking shit about the U.S. It leads to this kind of idea, like pulled from the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is like this horse shit from the late 19th century that influenced Hitler. That, Jews eat babies and they own the world. And if Israel...
Turns out we now have lasers, space lasers.
If Israel owns the U.S. government to the point that you can't talk shit about Israel, that is actually like a nod to that kind of idea that Jews own everything because there's no differentiation between Israel and Judaism. And that's really fucking dangerous. So it leads to actual anti-Semitism, like, Green's comment that wildfires are started by Jews with lasers in space or something, or a Jewish laser in space, whatever the fuck.
I mean... Okay, I did start the fire, but it wasn't. I didn't have a laser. I just walked around.
No, that's just because Jews aren't great at camping.
Yeah, I'm just bad at camping. Yes, Jews did start the California fires, just not space lasers.
So, but that's the only I don't give a flying fuck, what Green is doing in her daily life. I don't fucking care. I think the important thing is that there has to be a very immediate and loud smackdown on the shit that's spewing, because otherwise it becomes just like I talked about how several years ago there was a panel, I think it was on CNN, maybe it was on MSNBC, that literally said, well, are Jews people? This is a QAnon question.
Oh yeah,
But if you just looked at the lower third, it just said, panel, are Jews people? And I'm like, no, that's not, you can't have that.
You're not saying no, they're not people.
You can't have that when somebody's flipping the channels.
Right. You can't have that as a legitimate question on the bottom of a CNN ticker.
Right. So when you legitimize these kind of fucking questions, when you legitimize these kind of absurd, narratives, then they become part of the mainstream, and you find yourself in that same space that led to
In CNN's defense, they did have one person on the panel saying, "Yes, Jews are people." So
I think yes. So that's the only thing that I'll say about that, because I think it's important that there are immediate responses.
So there are broader strokes to be talked about, such as anti-Semitism. But what I'm talking about is the day-to-day horseshit that we're seeing now, where it is every day they're talking about her, what she said, what needs to be done, whether the Republicans are going to distance themselves from her, all this bullshit. Meanwhile, average people fucking don't know where their food's coming from at home. And our mainstream media needs people like these fucking idiots, Ted Cruz, etc., to get ratings. They realize they've lost the best one, which was Trump, because he was at the top of the heap and fucking loony. And so, Biden, as crazy as he is and as crazy as his policies is not going to give you the nutty sound bites that Trump will, and B, is not even speaking to cameras very often.
Well, he's not doing an interview.
He's not doing interviews. He's not speaking to cameras.
Which is unusual.
So the media doesn't have the ratings, so they need to find these crackpots to make every story about. Meanwhile, what should be getting 95% of the coverage, and I'm not saying the media didn't mention this, but compared to the coverage of Marjorie Taylor, I feel like I can't open my phone without seeing her name all over the place. Compared to that, they haven't covered this, maybe 5% compared to 95%, about how Biden his administration has said they won't be withdrawing troops from Iraq and Afghanistan. The drawdown for Afghanistan was already in the process and in the works, and that started under Trump, that Trump had been trying to get through for years. And again, I'm not acting like Trump was a fucking hero, but he did want to decrease troops in Afghanistan, and they stopped him, and now Biden has said he's stopping it, the drawdown into Afghanistan. And all of the liberal media that, and when I say, I never used to say liberal media, because my my thought on that phrase was that it was a right-wing talking point by Fox News to act like CNN, etc., were liberal when they were fucking centrist. Now I use it because when I mean the word liberal, I mean basically fine with war, fine with Wall Street, fine with environmental destruction, yet supports gay marriage. And that's what CNN, NPR, MSNBC have become.
I wouldn't even say supports. I'd say doesn't mind. Like they don't actively come out against it anymore.
No, but they actually use like the gay marriage thing as like a cudgel to like beat right wingers with. So it's like it's how they define.
But I'm
that
sure
they're more woke.
If you actually sat down with Biden and talked to him about like LGBTQ rights and reproductive rights, and it was just a one-on-one, I'm sure he'd be like, "Oh, gay people are gross."
Well, I think you'd have to spend probably 15 minutes with a chart to explain what gay is. So I'd be like, "Well, how do they make the babies?" Anyway, but so I now use the term liberal media, and I mean specifically, CNN, MSNBC, NPR, etc. But they've, hardly mentioned this, or when they mention that Biden is going to keep these troops in Afghanistan, continue war in Afghanistan, they say, due to rising violence, as if they leave you, the average New York Times reader, with the assumption that we are the peaceful force and violence goes where we aren't. When we're away, violence comes. It's like, no, we fucking obliterated that country. Mm-hmm. The infrastructure, we destroyed it. Same with Iraq. And so the idea that we're this peaceful thing, and when we subtract ourselves from a situation, it gets violent, is like hilarious.
Yeah, and I lost my train of thought.
So quickly, too.
I'm sorry, because I was.
You were looking at the snow.
I was not looking at the snow. I was looking at a website, but then there was this video that was that was about to start playing,
yeah. And
I got scared. Like, holy shit! What if they hear some fucking car commercial while Lee's talking about something really important? I gotta fucking click it, and that took all of my mental focus. So I'm sorry. I will say,
if you're not careful, I'm gonna make you sing a song again.
I will say I'm like slightly distracted by how wonderfully beautiful it is outside.
All right, I'm gonna close the blinds.
But no. But yes, the idea, but it's like the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, oh, well, and it's the same with the war on terror. Like, oh, well, we're creating terrorists, so there are more terrorists to fight, so we have to go fight them. And then we create more terrorists by being over there, so then we have to be over there more to fight more terrorists. And it's that fucking cycle, and it's the same thing that's going on in Afghanistan. And of course, I mean, it's a stupid fucking argument because the U.S. is not opposed to violence. The U.S. loves violence. So the idea that we would have to go somewhere to swoop in and stop the violence, that's like, saying that your abusive partner has to be the mediator. And I mean, it's just, it's
right.
fucking absurd.
Right. But this should show how Biden is not like, they try and sell, the Democrats sell people the idea that they're like the force for peace in the world, and Trump was the force for violence. And in some ways, they're correct. Trump was a force for violence.
Overtly.
But yeah, and hell, violence at the Capitol building. But in other ways, it needs to be clear that they are stopping the withdrawal of troops from these areas. They want U.S. troops to continue to fight in countries that, guess what, are not ours. We don't own these fucking places. We act like they're fucking ours, and we decide whether they're doing things right or wrong. And it's just like, already, within the first couple weeks, he's like, yeah, let's keep troops there. Let's just keep the violence going.
But even if you just look at, the violence at home, too, putting troops in our own cities. I mean, Mayor Bowser, who's the mayor of Washington, D.C., has asked for National Guard troops to stay in D.C. I didn't see her shedding any crocodile tears to keep people safe when there were white supremacists trolling predominantly black and brown neighborhoods, harassing and stabbing people. That wasn't a big deal.
You mean the cops?
Right. But as soon as some people break a window of a federal building, she loses her goddamn mind, and she's like, we need federal troops to stay here. And this is shaping up to be in Afghanistan, right? She was like, well, we're going to need National Guard troops to be here till the end of March. I guarantee you it's going to come March. It's going to be like, well, I think just a little bit longer, and then just a little bit longer. And before you know, it's going to be a fucking...
And soon they'll be running the snow cone kiosks at outside the lawn, outside the mall.
But it's like, and this is an important thing to note as well, like the connectivity of issues. Imperialism is a home game, and I know that we've talked about this on the show before, but there's no such thing as just over there. You look at things like the 1033 program, which is the program that funnels weapons to police departments from the actual fucking military, which is why, on Inauguration Day or, other protests, and which I'm sure people have seen if they've been to protests in the United States, there's a fucking MRAP, an anti-landmine vehicle that's rolling through your streets. Like, why the fuck do you have that? Oh, because we got it from the the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Like, thank you very much. What a great gift.
Because sometimes we find out that a person has been impersonating their dead mother to get a welfare check, and so we send in an MRAP.
And meanwhile, I heard recently that there's $1 trillion that's going to updating our nuclear arsenal.
Right.
Because that's necessary.
Well,
right
this
now.
is an interesting discussion because Trump was pulling out of all these nuclear deals, disarmament deals, or at least pause on nuclear testing and things like that, bans. But even under those, during Obama, the idea was, well, we won't create new ones because we're not allowed to under the ban, but we'll update and modernize the ones we have, which for all intents and purposes is creating new nuclear bombs.
Right.
It's like taking the engine out of an old car and putting it in a new car and souping the whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're making new nuclear bombs. You're just claiming you're not.
Yeah, and so in the midst of, which, by the way, economic downturn was happening before the pandemic, and I'm sure everyone felt that. So $1 trillion. I don't even I don't understand, like, anything above $1 million. My brain just can't, like, wrap itself around that number. $1 trillion to modernize our nuclear arsenal. That is, yeah.
Well,
but
if you
but
make
God
$40,000
forbid,
a year, it would take you 25 million years to make $1 trillion. In case you've forgotten, in case you were getting started on it and wondering how much time you have left.
But meanwhile, you can't get to a $2,000 check. We can maybe get you a $1,400 check because you already got the $600. So really, if you add it all up, because I'm sure you haven't spent that $600 yet, if you add it all up, it equals $2,000. So you're welcome. Meanwhile, $1 trillion to modernize a nuclear arsenal that shouldn't even fucking exist. Fucking America. There you go.
America. So continuing along the foreign policy front and how Biden is on some areas even worse than Trump, but in most areas just equivalently awful to Trump. Ecuador is having their election coming up, I believe February 7th. Many of you may not know much about Ecuador, but you may recall that Lenin Moreno took over and not long after sold out Julian Assange to the tune of $4 billion from the IMF within weeks of making that deal to allow the British police to arrest Julian Assange out of the Ecuadorian embassy. So Moreno is this neoliberal piece of shit who basically snuck into the presidency by pretending to be further left wing, and then shifting to be pro-US, pro-IMF. He also allowed the IMF back into Ecuador, which they had finally, gotten them out. And he basically was like, yeah, come on in and exploit us for your profit.
Lee, pray tell, real quick, for those who are unfamiliar, explain what the IMF does.
It stands for International
Motherfuckers.
Milk fudge, which is a delicious kind of chocolate that everybody should check out. The International Monetary Fund is similar to the World Bank. Same idea. largely run by the U.S., although they don't say that, but the U.S. has massive influence over it. And even if it's not run by the U.S., it's run by the oligarchs of the world who basically exploit, some of it's the third world, other parts you wouldn't consider the third world, but they're just kind of vassal. We consider them vassal states to our empire. And so places like Ecuador and Bolivia and all these countries, we view them as places that we want to exploit, but we want to pretend as if we haven't invaded them. So we get them to sign deals through the IMF or the World Bank where we will build up your infrastructure, but basically you'll be our puppet forevermore because it's an amount of money. Many of them are spending like their entire GDP to like pay off the interest on the fucking loan.
It's like a student loan.
Yeah. So you have them as prisoners using economic chains. Anyway,
and you basically like own, natural resources and all kinds of domestic infrastructure that should be used to help the people of that country is now owned by the IMF and
Right. So anyway, Moreno has an election coming up February 7th, and I can't remember his name, but the socialist, the anti-imperialist is winning right now in the polls pretty handily. And he, so Moreno, many fear that Moreno is now planning a very similar coup attempt. I guess you can call it a coup if you remain in power when you shouldn't be. But basically to maintain his hold on the power, similar to what happened in Bolivia, which was undone recently, but it took a year of aggressive protesting, people getting violently beaten and killed. It took a year to get the power back to where it belonged in Bolivia, and Ecuador seems to be headed to that same area where they basically either say the election isn't legit or they put off the election and Moreno wants to hold on to power. So not only does it seem like things are headed that way, but Moreno flew to Washington, D.C. to spend some time meeting with the Biden administration, likely to quietly discuss with them how it is he's going to remain in power. Because you got to figure that if he weren't going to remain in power, meaning he sees the writing on the wall from these polls and knows he's going to lose his election.
Why would he bother coming to D.C.?
Why would he bother, and why would the Biden administration bother?
Right.
They'd be like, this is the outgoing guy. He's a lame duck. What do we have to... But not if you're going to either rig it or stop it from happening. So there's a lot of fear on that front. One last thing about... changes coming from the Biden administration is I don't think they've mentioned TPP, which is now called like CPTPP. They've added some initials to try and trick us. It's basically like when someone robs you and then shows up again with a fake mustache on. They added CPTPP. Anyway, the UK has asked to join the TPP, which is supposed to be Pacific Partnership, Trans-Pacific Partnership. It's supposed to be the Pacific Rim, which the U.S. is a part of, Canada is a part of. Obviously, but it excludes China. So the whole point of the Trans-Pacific Partnership was to give away all of our power to corporations, multinational corporations. So that was step one. But step two was to leave China out, so that you lock them out of their kind of economic growth. So
it's
that
basically
the US,
a way for like the U.S. in our waning economic superpower can be like, fuck you, China. Unsuccessfully, of course, because the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, was based on a NAFTA type concept, but on steroids, because it includes more countries, it includes more parameters that squash workers' rights, that pedestal corporate rights over, in particular, environmental legislation. So let's say that you have Lake Erie would be a good example. The people voted to give Lake Erie personhood rights, to say that Lake Erie has the right to not be fucking polluted by your dumb shittery. Then a corporation could come in and say, well, that stands in the way of our profits, so therefore this legislation is moot. So that's the kind of shit that the TPP would have, or I guess still could in some ways, institute in the United States. And what happened was, some people will say that, Trump ended the TPP. Well, people did. There were years of endless protests against the TPP.
Long
and
live
really,
Kevin Zeese.
Yes, and highlighting how horrific this trade deal would be, and making that connection between the TPP and NAFTA, because people in the U.S. Are pretty aware, especially if they work in industries that were particularly, hit hard by NAFTA. So people remembered that and heard that, oh shit, NAFTA on steroids, that sounds bad. And so there was so much organizing around this that when Trump actually got to office, he was just doing what even his supporters just said, we don't want the TPP, and he was like, okay.
He
wanted popularity because that's the only thing that's ever mattered to him.
But believe it or not, he was living up to one of his promises during the campaign, which he enjoyed making that promise because he could shit on something Obama did, and he could shit on something Hillary said she still supported.
And it just happened to be the right call.
And it happened to be the right call. Trump sometimes falls ass backwards into a correct decision.
Right.
Anyway, I was going to say that the UK has asked to join this, which is ridiculous because they have nothing to do with Pacific, but they're going to likely join this anyway. And
they're kind of desperate right now because of Brexit.
They are,
they're like, I don't know what the fuck. No one wants us.
I feel like they're literally drifting out to sea from the continent. But by the way, the actual words for the CPTPP, you want to know what the fake mustache is? Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Oh my God, you shut up.
Were you worried that the TPP was not comprehensive and progressive, and now this has qualmed you? I mean, eased your qualms.
It's qualmed my eases. I'll tell you that.
So the UK may join it. They've asked to. And Biden, I believe, has not mentioned it yet, but mark my word, and very few are talking about this, Biden will be signing the U.S. into the TPP. I can fucking guarantee you. And I don't know how much time he has left on this last fast-track approval, because it's in its 6 years, and Obama got it in his last year, so that means this should be the 6th year.
I don't know. I'd have to check that out, but that's fucking horrifying. Yeah, and you're right. I haven't even heard labor rights organizations talking about this.
Well, it's like they're waiting to be behind the 8 ball. They're waiting for Biden to say he's signing it tomorrow, and then they're like, okay, let's get our protest hats on, and it's like, it's too fucking late. You needed to put this before, force Biden to make a promise in the campaign that he wouldn't sign back onto it, at least. That doesn't mean he wouldn't, but anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if they look for some shock doctrine reason to sign back into this. They'll probably say
the economy's doing so poorly.
Economy, COVID. They'll say something is why we have to sign on to the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and give a couple of quick housekeeping things. We are going to do a live stream this weekend, Sunday at 8 p.m., we believe. So please join us at youtube.com/Moment of Clarity. And if you aren't, we send out an alert on our email list. So if you aren't a member of the email list, you can sign up at leecamp.com. It's in the sidebar on the right. It's free to sign up. But yeah, youtube.com/Moment of Clarity. It's a lot of fun. Everybody, come hang out with us. We would really enjoy that. And if you support this show, if you'd like to see it keep going, and we are only funded by you, by listeners. We have no ads for anything outside of our own stuff. So it really is pivotal that you guys support us if you have that ability. So it's patreon.com/commoncensored. You can sign up starting at $1, and we'd love for you to do that. We're not able. We almost every week we do extra content for the members over there at patreon.com/commoncensored. Time doesn't permit this week. We got some more for you. Don't worry in this hour, but time doesn't permit for extra content this week. But normally extra content over at patreon.com/commoncensored. Eleanor's movie is at hardroadofhope.com. My book is at leecampbook.com. And I'll say the rest at the end. Let's keep it going.
So I think you're correct. I was just looking up the fast track, and the last one that was signed in 2002, pursuant to the Trade Act of 2002.
No, there was another one more recent. Remember, we went protesting it at the Capitol.
No, I know. I'm getting there.
Oh, you said the last one.
The last one before the current one.
Okay.
That expired in 2007. But it remained in effect for agreements that were already under negotiation until their passage in 2011, which sounds like cheating to me. Yeah, I wish I could try that with like my driver's license. Like, look, I've still been in negotiation.
Yeah, I was
with the DMV, so technically this is still good.
Listen, we started thinking about this trade deal like 6 years ago, so it's still under the old. Wow.
So
well, let me just add one more thing. A fast track, by the way, for those who don't know. If there weren't a fast track approval, then Congress could change any little stipulation within the trade deal, because that's how it's supposed to be. Congress is supposed to be able to debate whether this detail of a trade deal is good or bad. But what fast track does is Congress can only say yes or no on the entirety of this like 5,000 or 10,000 page
no amendments
trade deal. No amendments, no changes. It's just a yay or nay on an entire trade deal. So without fast track, you could probably never get these things through. So fast track is important for them to plaster over any concerns that your representatives, your democracy, your representative democracy has about these trade deals.
Right. And so basically this is a way for, the limited congressional oversight, which sounds like it should be illegal.
Essentially no congressional oversight.
And
they literally stopped Congress from seeing it. Congress is allowed to go
the stories
for 1 hour
around TPP were fucking hilarious because it was like some James Bond type shit. They would put them in a room. They weren't allowed any devices. They weren't allowed any devices like cameras or anything to take pictures. They weren't even allowed a fucking pen or pencil. They couldn't take notes on what they were reading.
No assistant, no secretary.
So they could go into this fucking hermetically sealed room with just the documents of the TPP, and then they could sit there and read it until their eyes glazed over, which would probably be like 5 minutes.
Page 3 of 11,000.
And then they just have to leave and try to retain all of the information that they just read.
And that was only for, we know about this from like Alan Grayson and a few others, but that was only for the Congress people that said, I want to spend an hour with the bill, with the document. Most Congress people didn't even do that. So they didn't actually, now it didn't end up happening, but they wouldn't have seen it until like a couple of hours before they're supposed to vote on this multi-thousand page monstrosity.
Yeah. And that, I mean, there was just so much fuckery around the TPP. It was written by corporate lawyers and corporate, tycoons.
Yay, Obama.
And Obama actually, this is pretty fucking astonishing because this has like basically never happened before. Obama had the fast track re-signed, or re-upped in 2015, and Congress basically had to vote on whether fast track would be renewed, which is kind of like signing into law like your own inability to affect the law.
Yes, we'd like to not see it and not have input.
But Obama, and there was a lot of fights against fast track. Like I remember going into the Capitol building, staging protest. Like there was a lot of shit around this, and Obama like felt this pressure. Obama went to the Capitol to like shake babies and kiss hands in order to get fast track, like, and presidents don't show up to the Capitol to fucking hang out with members. That's not something that fucking happens.
Well, hold on. So Trump sent the guy with the bison horns to represent him.
So he went to Congress just to basically say, by the way, remember to pass fast track. Love you, man. Thanks. So this is how desperate
to pressure them,
right?
Say I'm going to do what you want if you pass this.
This is how desperate Obama was to have this pass in the hopes that TPP would pass. It was absolute. It was like the kind of political theater that you'd expect to see in like the last season of House of Cards.
So mark my words, there is no mention of this that I know of in the mainstream media. I know there's one or two independent media that's covered it. The mainstream media will notice it's happening basically a week before Biden's going to sign it, so that there's almost no debate, almost no discussion. It'll just happen. That's what I predict. But moving on to other ways we're exploited. let's get on to what the top 1%'s been up to.
God, gut punch first thing in the morning. Now I'm not even that happy that it's snowing anymore.
All right, let's look back out at the snow for a minute, for a few minutes.
Okay, so this is also, I mean, I know it's in the morning, but if you have a bottle of whiskey, go ahead and grab it because this is not at all inspiring either.
By the way, and this is exciting, this is why you listen to Common Censored. You're getting a preview of something I'm going to talk about on Redacted like a week or 2 weeks from now. So you're getting ahead of the curve.
Okay, so there's a new working paper by the Rand Corporation that shows that between 1975 and 2018, the bottom 90%, 99% have lost
90%.
Have lost $50 trillion to the top.
You're talking like couch cushions, right?
So I mean that's between 1975 and 2018, and the paper points out that by 2020 it passed the $50 trillion mark. So that's $50 trillion that would have gone into the paychecks of average Americans, i.e. you and me, had inequality held constant. $50 trillion that, I don't know, maybe you could find useful like in the midst of a pandemic, or I don't know, even like the last economic downturn, like 2008, 2009, maybe that would have been useful to you.
If they just give me like $1 trillion, I feel like I could find a use for it.
So basically, basically what this shows is that, you know, that this continuous march of capitalism, which is based on infinite growth, right? There was growth in the past 40 years between 1975 and now. But that growth didn't go to the people. That growth exclusively went to the top or the top 10%, but of course, even more centralized, the top 1%. And the report also shows out that inequality is meted out unequally. So low-wage workers, particularly people of color, suffer, you know, exponentially more than those who are not low-wage workers and not people of color.
The essential workers, mostly.
Yeah. So this is basically, and it's a report. What I'm reading, the article is in Time, but the report again was put out by the Rand Corporation, and I mean it basically just puts a number to the shit that we felt and that we saw. But I think that it is important to like have these numbers pointed out because it gives you like an actual like number to look at and say, wow, this is how incredibly fucked over that we've been. And it also puts things into perspective, right? Like the fight for 15, you know, and as several people have pointed out, yeah, the fight for 15 was great. Like 6-7 years ago. Now it really should be $21 because $15 don't buy what it did in fucking 2015. And so this idea that like we're always fighting for the scraps that don't even give us a subsistence living wage, and yet they're still dragging their asses about $15. Meanwhile, they've taken, and by they I mean the corporations and the rich assholes that own our government, they've taken $50 trillion from us over the past 45 years.
And what this shows is a large scale redistribution of wealth. This is not just, you know, one corporation doesn't treat their workers right or something like that. This is a large scale effort to extract the wealth from the bottom 90%, give it to a tiny number of people at the top. I think we have 640 billionaires or something like that in America. So we're talking a few hundred people have... Well, if you talk full, that's the 0.1%. If you talk to 1%, a few thousand people have extracted this wealth over the span of decades, starting with Reagan. And this doesn't mean there was no worker exploitation before Reagan, but this is a much larger scale and cohesive plan to completely shift the wealth in this country to a tiny number of people in a way that we haven't seen in a generation. And it was done over the span of decades, and it continues in a very large-scale way. And to me, this is a much larger plan and a much larger shift. Redistribution. Why do I have trouble saying that today? Redistribution.
It's a tricky word.
You know what it is? It's tough to say without yelling it. Redistribution of wealth.
You can yell. I think people are used to yelling.
They are used to me yelling. And so my point when I cover this on Redacted is going to be, I want redistribution of wealth, if I learn how to say it. And because I think it's time that it was fucking redistributed back to the fucking people. We have been, because they use this as a fucking excuse every time anybody who is in the lower classes, the middle class, wants taxing of the rich in order to fund things like infrastructure, things like daycare, things like a living wage, et cetera, healthcare. Every time we want to fund that, they go, oh, that's redistribution of wealth because you want to tax the rich. It's like, no, we've fucking been the victims of the redistribution of the class war for fucking decades. So the idea that they should accuse people of, having a class war, it's like, no, we're on the losing end of this, and we should stand up and be clear and not give a fuck that we'll be called, whatever we'll be called, socialist, Marxist, we'll be attacked at every name in the book, fucking Russians, Chinese, you're Beijing, whatever the fuck they want to call you, let them call you that, because it's time to be honest that we need a nonviolent class war against the 1%. And without that, this will never change. This extraction will continue until the systems collapse.
Amen. And so I do recommend that folks take a look at this article in Time, because I think there's some numbers in there that are just, again,
when you have time for some time, you need time.
That are just, again, like really important to see, I think. For instance, I'll just share a couple with you. A black man earning $35,000 a year today is getting at least $26,000 less a year than he would have had income distributions held constant. A college-educated full-time worker earning $72,000 a year is losing between $48,000 and $63,000 a year, so almost double. So those are some. So if you can't wrap your head around $50 trillion, if you're making $35,000 a year, can you wrap your head around the fact that you're losing like almost double your wages to the top 10% and the top 1%? And here's the thing, I think the redistribution of wealth that you're talking about, Lee, is basically like just saying that the people doing the fucking work should be the ones with the fruits of that labor. So, the idea that the essential workers, the people who are creating a society, and by that I mean doing essential shit, whether that be caring for people, whether that be growing and growing and harvesting food and making sure that food can then get to people. If you're doing essential fucking work, then you are a necessary part of a society, and therefore the fruits of that labor should come back to you. They shouldn't be funneled up to the people who are doing nothing but moving numbers around on a fucking screen.
As we saw from GameStop saga.
Right. So, and of course, I get that, some of the conversations that we're having about redistributing wealth happen within the confines of capitalism, but this also circles back to a conversation that we've had in the past, and this is about stopgap measures. If we had stopgap measures that, for instance, would just get our tax our tax system and our distribution of wealth back to the way it was, I don't know, in the 50s, then you'd see millions of people not only able to thrive, but actually just fucking survive, to be able to live. And I think that, yes, the goal is, of course, to see capitalism fizzle and fail and, build something beautiful in its ashes. But it's also important to highlight that there are things we can do and that we can fight for in the interim that will not only save lives, but will make life better for millions of people. And then they'll have, some extra time to topple empires.
Well said. We got time for one more topic. Do you want to cover the Mike Africa thing just so we know we got it in there?
Sure. So I also just wanted to, well, that will take 1 second. And then I also just wanted to mention the zine resources. So Mike Africa Jr., who's a totally rad human being, and he's a member of the MOVE organization. If you're not familiar with that, I have a podcast for you. Also, there's a movie about him and his family out. I believe it's on HBO, 40 Years a Prisoner. Really powerful stuff. But Mike Africa Jr. has a new podcast, and it is called On a Move with Mike Africa Jr. So check that out on iTunes and Spotify and Stitcher, whatever the fuck.
So that's like I just want people to be able to spell it. On a Move, like the move.
We're on a move.
The Move bombing is a famous bombing.
Yes, that was his family.
That was his family. So On a Move with Mike Africa. Africa
Junior.
spelled. Junior spelled like the country.
The continent.
Great point. Spelled like the country.
We do geography here at Common Censored. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is if you're listening to this, well, anytime, I'm not going to delete the tweet, but I tweeted out some zine resources. Here in the United States, it's Black History Month. Of course, we should make the point that without Black history, there is no history. So every month is fucking Black History Month, but there's a special recognition of, in particular, Black history this month. So I tweeted 3 zine resources that you could either just share digitally, or if you're doing any sort of mutual aid tabling or something like that, these could be great resources. One is Intercommunalism by Huey P. Newton. Another one is 25 Years on the Move, which again speaks to the MOVE organization, but also speaks to what they did and why they were threatening, why they were bombed, basically. And it's
by the police, by the way.
It's very much. Oh yeah, and then like the mayor of Philadelphia stopped the fire department from coming in and putting out the fire. So, but. It's very much in line with kind of like the Black Panther Party, which is we're going to take care of our community. We're going to teach our community to be self-sufficient, growing food and, taking care of each other in a way that's totally circumvents the government. And that shit is dangerous. So there's a zine there that talks about that. Then there's the third one that I posted is called Black Autonomous Movements, and it's really an interesting history about Black autonomous movements and how what the calls that we're seeing today are not new. They're just repurposed for this time and place, but there's a rich history of Black folks and sort of a Pan-African perspective on building autonomous movements. So check those out. There are also, if you just Google some stuff, that I'm sure that you'll find other resources. There's another good one that I've shared with folks that's called like Imagining a World Without Police. Another one that talks about like how to best do prison support, whether that's a prison letter writing campaign or things like that. So there are great resources out there. The zine world is not dead. So do check that out. And again, great. They make great little additions for tabling and for sharing with community members that might not otherwise have access to this.
Well put. I know we've given you a ton of resources to check out if you want to. We will put them in the show notes at commoncensored.libsyn.com, libsyn.com. They'll also be at our Patreon page, patreon.com/commoncensored. Please go over there and check out the things we have there for you. Thanks a lot for joining us. Like I said, no extra content this week, but we do that almost every week. We will, however, be doing a live stream event this coming Sunday. I don't know if I said 8 p.m. Eastern. It's Eastern time. So 8 p.m. Eastern Sunday at youtube.com/momentofclarity. And that's the show. Thanks for joining us. You guys make this show possible. And also all of Eleanor's work is at artkillingapathy.com. She's got some excellent new articles up there and photos and everything else. So check that out and keep fighting.
Act out.